Hello, you're welcome to our lecture series on chordates. In today's lecture, we are going to look at the class Amphibia or the amphibians. We have looked at the introductory aspect of the amphibians in our previous lecture series. Today's lecture will be on the classification of amphibians. Classification of amphibians. The class Amphibia, the extant amphibians belong to the subclass Les Amphibia. All living amphibians, like the frogs, the toads, the salamanders, the newts, the caecilians, belong to the subclass Les Amphibia. Now, this subclass Les Amphibia is further classified into three orders, and the three others are the order Anura, the other caudata or uridella, and the other Apoda or Gymnophiona. In the other Apoda, Anura, we have the frogs and the toads. In the other Anura, we have the frogs and the toad. It has about 5,602 current species in 48 families, while the other caudata consists of the salamanders and the newts and has 571 current species in 10 families. Then the other Apoda or Gymnophiona has the caecilians that have 190 current species in 10 families. Now, let us look in detail at each of these others in the class Amphibia, subclass Les Amphibia. The other Anura. The other Anura, the word Anura is derived from the Latin word an, which means without, and the Greek word oura, which means tail. So without tail. Okay, it comprises of frogs and toads. And just as the name implies, they are amphibians that do not have tails, amphibians that lack tail. Now, these amphibians usually have long hind limbs that fold underneath them, and they have shorter forelimbs. Typical examples are the frogs. The hind limbs are longer than the forelimbs, and they have webbed toes with no claws. They have webbed toes, and they do not have tails. They have large eyes and glandular moist skin. Okay, so the distinctive features of the other Anura is the fact that they have long hind limbs, which are used for hopping, and they also have short forelimbs, and their toes are webbed, and they do not have claws. They lack tail. That's one very important feature. That's the source of the name Anura. They lack tails. That's one very important feature of these organisms, and they have large eyes and a glandular moist skin. Members of this order with smooth skins are commonly referred to as frogs, while those with warty skins are known as toads. The frogs have smooth skins, while the toads have warty skins. Now here is a figure of the common frog, Rana tempora. It's a typical example of the other Anura. Now from this figure, you'll notice that they have a bulging eye. They have bulging eyes. The eyes are usually very big, and they also possess long hind limbs and short forelimbs. And the limbs, the foot, the toes are webbed. They have webbed toes for swimming. And the frog actually has a smooth skin that's usually moist, while the toad has warty skin, and the feet of the toad are almost equal, though the hind limbs are a little bit shorter than the forelimbs are a little bit shorter than the hind limbs, but the hind limbs of the toad are shorter than those of the frogs. This is the cane toad, Bufo marinus, and it has poison glands behind the eyes. It has poison glands behind the eyes. So I want to now make progress to look at the next class, which is the next order, which is the order Caudata. And the word Caudata is derived from a Latin word, cauda, which means tail. And this order is marked by the fact that the members have tails, okay? And it consists of the salamanders and the newts. Anuras do not have tails, while Caudata have tails. Anuras lack tail, while Caudata have tails. That's one distinctive feature. They are elongated, slow, long animals that mostly resemble lizards in form. They resemble lizards in form. Salamanders lack claws, have scale-free skins, either smooth or covered with tubercles, and tails that are usually flattened from side to side and often finned. Now, these salamanders are distinct from the lizards in that they have scale-free skins, and the digits of the salamanders lack claws. Okay, they have smooth skins, and maybe in some cases the skin may be covered by tubercles. And the tails are usually flattened from side to side. At the lateral side, they're laterally flattened and also have fins. Actually have fins, as if they are caudal fins. They range in size from the Chinese giant salamander, Andreas davidianus, which has been reported to grow to a length of 1.8 meters, that's 5 feet, 5 feet 11 inches, to the diminutive Theurus penacillus from Mexico, which seldom exceeds 20 millimeters, that's 0.5 inches in length. This is a picture of the salamander, a primitive salamander of the order Cryptobranchioidea. This is also a salamander which have smooth skin, smooth wet skin like the frogs. They are of the order Caudata, having tail. Then we have the donor becrested newt, which is also an advanced salamander of the suborder Salamandriidae. The next order I want to look at is the order Apoda, or Gymnophiona. The order Apoda is characterized by members that do not have feet. The word Apoda is taken from the Latin word which means an. An means without, without, and the Greek word poda meaning legs. So if you put the two words together, it means without legs. It is also called Gymnophiona, and that word Gymnophiona is derived from the Greek word gymnos, which means naked, and ophis, which means serpent. So it means naked serpents, because they do not have those scales that are found in the serpents. And they comprise of the caecilians. This order consists of the caecilians. Now, these are long, cylindrical, limbless, tropical amphibians that look like earthworms or snakes. They look like earthworms or snakes. The adults vary in length from 8 to 75 centimeters, that's 3 to 30 inches long, with the exception of Thompson Cecilia, that's called Cecilia thompsoni, which can reach 150 centimeters, that's 5 feet long. A Caecilian skin has a large number of transverse folds and in some species contains tiny embedded dermal scales. That's one distinctive feature between the caecilians and the Apoda and the Caudata. Okay, the caecilians and the other, Apoda and the other Apoda are different from the other Anura and Caudata in that they have scales. they have embedded dermal scales. It has rudimentary eyes covered in skin, which are probably limited to discerning differences in light density. The eyes are very rudimentary, and the eyes are covered by skin. And because of that, they cannot see with the eyes. It only helps them to discern differences in light intensity. It also has a pair of short tentacles near the eyes that can be extended and which have tactile and olfactory functions. At the tip, they have tentacles, and those tentacles can be extended, and they are used to touch. They have tactile functions, and they can also be used to perceive smell. That's olfactory function. And that's to help them because they are almost blind. Most caecilians live on the ground in burrows, in damp soil, in rotten wood, or under plant debris, but some are aquatic. Most caecilians, they are found in damp soil. They burrow into damp soils, and sometimes they are found in rotten woods or under plant debris and some of them are aquatic. Most species lay their eggs on the ground, and when the larvae hatch, they make their way to adjacent bodies of water. That's an exception from most amphibians that will have to lay their eggs in water. The caecilians lay their eggs on the ground. And when the eggs hatch, the larva now finds its way to the water. Others brood their eggs and larvae undergo metamorphosis before the eggs hatch. So when they hatch, they look like the adult form. A few species give birth to live young, nourishing them with glandular secretions while they are in the oviduct. So there are viviparous species of caecilians that give birth to live young ones. Caecilians are found in tropical Africa, Asia, Central, and South America. They are found in tropical Africa, Asia, and Central and South America. Now, these are pictures of the caecilians, and this also is the limbless South American caecilian, Cephonops paulinensis. Now, we want to look at other features. Thanks for listening. We appreciate your constant viewing of our videos. Keep watching. Our next video will be on reptiles.